care and cultivation of lavender. These are uncompromising rules. Doctor's orders. Do not violate any three of them. First rule is lavender are sun worshippers. They require 5 to 7 hours of sunlight a day. Southern exposure is optimal. Morning sun is better than afternoon sun. The second requirement is good soil drainage. Lavender does not require rich, fertile soil. It does require good soil drainage and aeration. You can create those planting environments by incorporating compost, finding those areas of the garden that have good soil drainage. We do not plant lavender near areas where azaleas and ferns and rhododendrons and cedar trees are growing fairly well. We don't grow lavender near grassy strips or walkways where the lawn sprinklers are constantly running. Okay, so if you practice those first two tips, you're 2/3 of the way from being a successful lavender gardener. The third thing that we must do as gardeners, homeowners, landscapers is pruning our lavender, and the most desirable shape are these domes, these distinctive mounds that you see on our local lavender farms. And that's done by shaping the lavender with a pruning tool. How much do you cut? We often hear cutting lavender, certain percentages, certain proportions, down to the base. No, doesn't work. Doctor's orders. We cut so that we leave 2 to 3 inches of green growth on the plant. What we do is we go out into the garden and we look where brown meets green. There's a definite border boundary. Stay above the brown by 2 to 3 inches, cut into that mound shape, clear the debris, weeds out from beneath the plant, and the fall, winter, spring rains will take care of your irrigation needs. No pesticides, doesn't need any fertilizers. Bugs do not enjoy invading your lavender. It is not a food of choice of deer. If you practice those 3 tips, not tips but requirements, the plant will stay with you in that shape for a good 7 to 10 years. Now, lavender does not grow in this mound dome configuration. It's a man-made creation. After 7, 8, 9 years, there's going to be woodiness that's going to form inside the lavender. Okay, everyone recognizes this. Anyone who's taken delivery of a new home, a rental, gone out in the backyard and seen this, what the heck is that? What do they do? The plant was not pruned. If you don't prune, and we're talking about right from the get-go, year 1, this leggy woodiness is going to start growing on the plant. This is lavender in its natural growth habitat, its growth characteristic. Like I said, we as gardeners, we're fighting Mother Nature. You're going to get away with it for about 7 to 9 years. After a while, the plant's going to say, hey, Mom and Dad, I've had enough haircuts. I'm going to grow the way I want to grow. So this woodiness is going to start presenting itself in the plant. That doesn't mean that the plant is unhealthy, it's dying, it's diseased. The plant will live another 10 or 15 years. It's just a matter, is this the presentation, is this the appearance you want? People covet this. Homeowners say, leave my lavender alone. This is the way I like it. If you have a xeriscape garden or you have a piece of land where you have a lot of natural vegetation, you know, growing out there in the wild, this plant looks gorgeous out there amongst those type of plants. Over a period of years, though, the plant is going to open up and lodge. Like I said, either you like it or you don't. You got to replace the plant or you live with it. Now, some of the downsides of an open lodged lavender are this. If you live in an area where we get snow, freezing temperatures, you're going to get clumps of snow and ice that are going to lodge inside this plant. What's going to happen is the plant is going to open up and splay even further. It's going to split. You're not going to go out there in February and March and tend to your lavender by taking the snow out of there. in the late spring, early and late spring, you're going to have wads of leaves and needles and other garden debris. It's going to lodge in here. What that's going to do is going to promote fungal bacteria growth, attract insects, further going to degrade your plant. So this is the downside of some of these open splayed specimens that you're going to have to choose to maintain or live with in your garden. Now, why is lavender such a hit with me is our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our parents were great gardeners. They grew our food, they were out there tending the roses and the daisies. Our generations are not like that. This is a proven winner as far as a plant choice. They're drought tolerant. All you have to do is find the sun and the drainage. If you have a hard to manage spot in your garden, you have a slope, a hill in the back of the yard, you need to fill up. You don't want to visit the garden that often, you don't have time, you have a second home, a rental, a vacation property, you have commercial property, you don't want to pay landscapers and maintenance people a lot of money to maintain the plants, you don't want to have a high watering bill. Lavender is a perfect choice. Lavender gives you a year-round presence in the garden. It's not a deciduous plant, it is a perennial, so it comes back every year. It doesn't shed its leaves. When you shape it into the mound or the ball, you have a nice presence in the garden of this silvery gray foliage. In the spring, it turns lime green, it gets darker, darker, darker. Then it starts shooting out the distinctive stems with the flower buds on the top. And then around mid-late July, those flower buds blossom out. And you get these tiny little trumpet flowers emerge from each one of these buds. So you have your summer color. You do your deadheading, you do your harvesting, which returns it back down to the distinctive mound. And you have the dark green foliage. We go into the fall where we're doing the Halloween haircut. Late October, you go in and you prune, as I explained, to leaving 2 to 3 inches. So now you're returning back to a mound or a ball, and then it goes into this grayish-green state. If you have snow, you'll get a layer of snow, and you'll have all these snowballs in your garden, which gives you another attractive appearance in the garden, during the winter. So it truly is a perennial plant, and it's going to last you 7 to 10 years with the man-made pruning that I just described.